All right then, so we'll get started with the webinar then. So of course, as we've already mentioned there, today's webinar is going to be on the brand new mobile app that's recently been launched, and we're going to learn 8 new features available on that new app and go through it today. So my name's Georgia, I'm one of the client trainers here at Voly.
And I'm Leandros, I'm here as a client relationship manager from Voly.
So together, like I say, we're going to go through the app and all the details of how to use it. If you've not used our mobile app previously, a previous version or anything, now would be a good time to start using it fresh off of the back of this sort of training webinar that we've got going on today. And of course, if you have been using the previous app that's been out for a few years now, we do encourage you to, as soon as possible, move on to that new version of the app, searching Voly Yachting in your applicable app store and downloading the black version with the black background and the logo on there. If you do have any issues at all when you're downloading or trying to log into the app, just get in touch with your client relationship manager or reach out to one of us after the training and webinar today, and we'll be able to then go through helping you out with that as well. But hopefully, as long as you've logged into the desktop previously, you should have no issues getting onto the mobile app, and especially if you've been using the app previously. Okay then, so to get started then, Leandros is going to go through a few of the features that are now new and exclusive to the new version of our mobile app, and I'll let him go with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Georgia, for the introduction. I will be sharing my screen so I can show you some pre-recording videos of the new features. We thought the pre-recordings might be a better idea so we don't have any necessary disruptions on an actual mobile phone. So I will be going through some management items that you can do quickly through the app. The first one, of course, is to be able to see the available balances onto the cards that you might be having. At the moment, you can see as well, I am logged onto the app. I am as a captain. Just a quick reminder, captains and admins, when they're logging in onto the app, they would have a visibility of all the cards regardless. So to be able to see the available balance, that you don't have to go anywhere. You can do this on the dashboard. It's always there available. All you will need to do is to scroll left and right to go to the card that you want to see, and the available balance you can see all the top is automatically updated with the card details when you're moving left and right. As well, while you are connected to the internet, the available balance that you see is the actual one that matches the desktop as well. Another quick and very useful new feature that we're having is now that you are able to view the PIN from the mobile app. You can do this all with the easy access with the manage this card. Again, you can find this button onto the dashboard, as you can see over here. So to be able to do the view PIN, we will show you quite quickly. What you can do is you will have to go to the manage card, and then at the bottom, you will see there's 3 options. All you need to do is click view PIN. And then once you do this, if you haven't enabled the biometrics earlier, the system will ask you to do this. This is for security, of course, so nobody will have access to the PIN. In this case, as you can see, I'll just go back so you can see I haven't enabled my biometrics as of yet. So the system will say you need to activate those. And to do that, we will have to go to my account. You will see the necessary section. We just need to slide to the right, enable the biometrics. And once we do this, we can go back to the manage card from the dashboard, and then at the bottom, you cannot see it very clearly, so I do apologize for this. At the bottom, you will see a reveal PIN button, which is down there. Once you click it, you will be able to see this. As a safety mechanism as well, the actual mobile phone that you're using, Android or iPhone, will ask you if you're giving permission to the app to have access to that. You don't need to do it more than once. If you do it only for one more time, you will have access to all the pins for the card. So you don't have to keep doing the permission for the phone every time. If you select don't allow the permission, you can always change this through the settings from your mobile phone on the permissions for the specific app for the Voly one. Another quick, very useful management tool is, of course, that we can suspend the card, because it can happen, especially if you carry around in your pocket, if you're chattering, if you're going out shopping, or you might even lose it. Again, you will be able to action this through the dashboard, the manage this card option, and then once you logged in, you will see the same 3 buttons as we saw before. To suspend the button, there we go. We can go click on that one button, and then we'll see the options. We just need to click on the suspend this card, and again to click down there to that slide bar. Once we do this, the card is automatically suspended straight away, and it also updates the status on the desktop. Now we will show you how you are able to unsuspend the card. Again, it's the same process. We click on the same button, manage this card, and then we will see the option to activate the card instead. And the last bit I will show you from my side in terms of managing the card on the app is, of course, that we can do the card loading and unloading, which is quite a popular and quite useful tool, especially if, let's say, you want to give money to a crew member and it's over the weekend, and you don't necessarily need to go to the desktop to log in. You can easily do this via the app. To do this again, we can select the card that we want to do this from the dashboard. And remember, we can always go left and right to find the correct card. Again, we need to click on the Manage this card button. And once we go into that one, it will be the last button, which is down here, Load, Unload Cards. And then as normal, for the ones that they're used to doing this from the desktop, you will see the options Load, Unload button, which is at the bottom of the screen. We can click on the Load button, which the example number 1 is, and then we can select how much funds we would like actually to send to the card. And on the top, you can see the float balance, which is actually the balance we have into our wallet. And of course, as a reminder, we cannot go more than what we have available in the float. And once we've done this one, the loading of the card is instant, and you can see it has been reflected onto the card. And to do the unloading of the card, it's exactly the same process. We just click on the unload button instead, and we select how much money we would like to reduce from the card. A quick reminder, once we unload the funds from the card, they go back to the float. You can see it being updated, and that's all done. And for the reflection, you can see available balance of the card is 0. The float balance is £20.60, the funds we have just unloaded. So that is all from my side. So I will pass now back to my colleague Georgia, who will show you a bit more admin items that you are able to do now from the app.
Thank you, Leandros. So yeah, with the app, of course, you can still do items that you were previously able to do on the older version of the app. So of course, one of the biggest things being processing those card transactions. So if you are out and about using the card and you want to add your receipt to the card transaction, you can do that nice and easily using the app, taking a picture in real time, rather than, of course, having to scan it in, take a photo, and then send it over to the desktop to upload it onto the Voly platform. So to process a card transaction using the mobile app, it's really easy to do. If we just watch it on the video here, we can see the first thing you'll be able to do is go to the relevant card and then click unprocessed transactions just here. That's then going to load up your unprocessed transactions for the card that you have access to. So for this one, if you're a crew member and you're going to be processing your own card transactions, the system will then allow you to see those card transactions here with some of that key data pulled through from the merchant or terminal ID. So we've got here a basic description pulled through, the amount on there as well, and of course the date of the transaction. So half of the information needed to process is already pulled through for us on there. If we then click into the transaction, that same information will then pull across into the relevant fields. So we can see just here, we've now got the date, the account it's come from, being of course that card account. And then we've got the currency of the transaction there. And down at the bottom that we can't see just yet is also that total balance for the transaction. Now, like when you're processing a transaction on the desktop, or if you have been using the app previously, the minimum information you would need to do to process a transaction is going to be the category for that purchase. So which category does it relate to? So if we click into our category area here, it's then going to give us a list of the applicable categories available. So this category list comes from both the desktop and the vessel as a whole. So any categories that you're seeing here are categories that correspond to what you would be selecting on the desktop. And of course, that your crewmates and captains are going to also be selecting from. So we can see if you click into one of the boxes here, you'll then be able to see the drop-down options of subcategory breakdown. So we've got that main category group, then that subcategory breakdown, and also the ability to search. So using the search bar here, when you start typing that in, it's then going to come up with the relevant results. So we can see there I've typed in food. So now in the drop-down is my owner and guest food and beverages. So just click that then to select it. And that's then going to pull through into our category there. The next essential piece of information you'll need is the receipt. So of course, taking that picture in real time of the receipt to upload. So to do that, all you need to do is click this little image icon down here at the bottom. Sorry, it does hide a bit behind my bar there, but you can just about see it. So when we click that, we can see it comes up with then, you can use your camera, so take a picture in real time, upload a file. So this is a brand new feature as well for the mobile app. It's going to be that you can upload PDF files and format files, as well as the traditional JPEGs and PNG images used through the camera. So you can choose use camera to take a picture in real time, upload file to select a downloaded file onto your device, or of course gallery if you want to select a picture that you've taken previously on the phone. So if I click use camera, we can see then it's got the ability to come in and see through the camera lens. So it's really clear what it is you're taking the picture of. And then when you click to take the picture, it then offers you the option to retake it or use the photo. So you can review it, make sure it's really clear and the information is really easy to see on there. And then click use photo, of course, to attach that to the transaction. We can see now next to our little image at the bottom, we've got one to indicate that there's a file already selected, and you can add more files, and we'll get onto that in just a little while, but that's just to let you know that we've already got something attached to it in case you've forgotten whether there was one or not on there. Now, we could submit this transaction with this information, with the category, the total spend pulled through, the description already pulled through, and then the image taken in by us for this transaction. But there might be instances where you need to add a bit more information or a bit more context to the transaction. So for that reason, you've still got all the available fields that you would normally have when you're processing a transaction on the desktop. So if we scroll back up to the top, we can then see we've got that ability to select adding a supplier in there. And when we click to add a supplier, we've got the option down here at the bottom again to add a new supplier. So if it is an instance where it's a supplier that's not been used previously on the boat, because of course it's just that one shared supplier list pulled from the platform, you can choose to add a new supplier ready to select next time and create for this transaction, or you can use your search function to search for an existing supplier, or I'm going to just click into my Amazon one just here. So again, you've got the ability to search, it'll bring up your keyboard and you can type the applicable supplier on there. We've then got the option to select a department. So again, the same departments you would expect to see on the platform on the desktop, you've got to, the ability to select there. And then we've got our cost centers and additional fields. So if they are something that are in use on the vessel, you need to categorize further which cost center that transaction falls into. So by that, it might be, there's a specific period of time that are being accounted for, like a shipyard period. You can then select the relevant cost center for that transaction. Now, again, with all that additional information in there, we can still process a transaction by clicking submit. But currently, we're just going to be saying that the full value of the transaction, 1178, is assigned to that single category here, so food and beverages. And it might be that if you have made a purchase from somewhere like Amazon or from like stores where it's multiple different categories you can be purchasing, whereas previously with the mobile app, you were only able to create one line. So you had to choose one applicable category. You did have the ability to edit on the desktop, but it was a bit clunky. We've now got the feature to add multiple lines on there. So you don't have to choose between one category and another anymore. You can have them both on there with the respective values input on that one. So to do that, all we need to do then is add line down at the bottom, just here, and then it's going to give us a second line. So of course, none of the information is then pulled through, so everything just is a bit more manual for this one, but we're going to go ahead and input a description. So for this one, I'm going to say that it was some wine, and then going to choose the applicable category. So again, it's the same categories we were using previously, but if there is an instance where you've bought food and beverages, but then also, maybe a box of pens, for example, for the fridge, you can have that spend allocated for on there. So again, you can choose your applicable cost center and additional fields for each line. So if one line relates to one cost center and another line doesn't, it doesn't matter. You can have it where it's just the one line rather than having to apply them to every line on there. Now we can see that the value is currently sat at 0. So just making sure that we input the correct amount for that net value on there. So we're saying that it's a very cheap bottle of wine I purchased there at £5. But we can see it's kept the previous line with the full transaction value to 1178, bringing our totals to 1678. Now, if we try to process the transaction by clicking submit, it's not going to allow that to happen. We need to make sure that the total value pulled from the transaction, of course, mirrors up to the amounts we're saying here because they are integrated with those cards. So just a quick tap back into the original line and you'll be able to make a change to that value on there. So you can see there, I'm going to click into the net value to make the change to that total amount, bringing that total then up to 1178 so that it's the correct value on the overall transaction, and it will then allow me to submit. If for any reason you've input the wrong amounts and you forgot to change it down, you don't need to worry too much because when you do try and process that transaction, it will let you know and allow you to make an adjustment before you submit it. Finally, as I mentioned, you can add more images. So to click onto the image icon, you can then click to add another image. So if it was a really long receipt with lots of different categories on there, you've got lots of different lines because of course you can keep going and adding as many lines as you need to. Maybe you want to make it really clear on that receipt the image that you're seeing. So rather than having that zoomed out, you can get in and have specific sections and have as many pictures as it takes to make that really clear and easy to see. Because of course, any pictures that are uploaded are then visible on the desktop to captains, admins, and yourselves as processing the transaction as well. So if I take the picture now in real time of the receipt, and then we've got the ability as well to click back into those images. You can see we can delete it off. So if it's no longer an applicable image, we've took a better one. We've also got the ability down here at the bottom, which I'm going to show you now, to rotate. So if you took a picture and sometimes, of course, your phone gets a bit confused and it takes it slightly the wrong way, rather than having to retake it, you can just rotate it. And if you pulled it from your gallery where it's a previous taken one, you can then modify it. So then you've got the option as well to crop the image as well. So like say if it's just a picture you've taken really quickly, the image isn't super clear, you can crop it down to make it a bit easier to see. And you can also resize that image. So if you need it to be in a certain format, you have the ability to do so on there. Any changes that you make when you click upload images will then be applied. And then once you're happy with everything, when we click submit, it's then going to process that transaction for us. So as long as you're connected to internet or Wi-Fi, when you've processed it, it's then going to move from the unprocessed transactions area. As we can see there, it's now gone. Refresh there, and then that's going to be visible on your desktop account under your card statement, and also something then that your captains, admins will be able to see as well. So if you are a captain or admin watching, you'll be able to see that as long as they've processed it, like say with internet or Wi-Fi connection, so you'll be able to see it in real time. So if it is the end of the month and you're trying to close off the reports and run that final end of month report, then everyone that's been processing the transactions will be done in real time. There's no wait for that one. So you'll be able to run them quickly and efficiently on there. Okay, another feature I wanted to show you that used to be on the old app as well, but is now also available on the new app, is adding an invoice. So it used to be slightly clunky on the older app. It was available to do with the split line functionality, but it wasn't generally very clear. It wasn't anyone's favorite feature by any means, but we have been working on that, making improvements and suggestions been taken on board as well. So to add an invoice on the new app, all you'll need to do is click into add transaction just here. And then it's going to come up with some transaction options. So of course, because I'm adding an invoice, I'm going to click add invoice, but this process is exactly the same for adding a credit note as well on there. So when you tap into add invoice, it's then going to have the relevant fields, the same as you would expect to see on the desktop, or if you have been using the app previously. We've got then our document date to fill in. So when did we receive the invoice? What's the date on the invoice? Then, of course, we've got the document number. So if we imagine we've got the invoice here, filling in this information as we've received it. And then, of course, again, adding our supplier. So if you're familiar with the Voly system, you'll know that suppliers are locked to a specific currency. So whereas with the processing of transactions, it only offered us suppliers in that currency, we've now got suppliers of all currency. So this might be a good opportunity then to use that new supplier button found just down at the bottom on there. So if we just come back into it, we can see down at the bottom, new supplier there. Or again, searching for the applicable supplier using our search function and selecting it. So we can see then that the currency selected is based off of the supplier that we've input. So that's already pulled through for us. We've then got the due date as well on there. So when is it due to be paid? You can modify this the same as you would be able to on the desktop as well to say, actually, it's not due for another period of time, and then selecting the department. Anyone familiar with the system will know that departments are really important for differentiating permissions and ability to see on there. So we can add that, then our lines. So again, the same as when we're processing our transactions, adding on the line description for this invoice that I'm adding on there. So we can see I'm adding on agency fees. I'm then going to select the appropriate category for that one, same category list as we saw previously. So the layout becomes very familiar very easily. And we can see there, I've just brought up the cost centers as well to show how they would look on the mobile app as well. So it should be the same cost centers as you would be seeing on the desktop. So if they are in use, they should be familiar to yourselves on there. And it's the same for the additional fields on there. You've just got the ability to input them. So long gone are the days where you'd have to input basic information to an invoice, then still go on the desktop to make modifications, because it's all doable here in the app. Now, coming down to our values, we've got the ability then to input our net value, but you've also got the ability to put in any VAT rate. So if you're reporting on VAT and you need to put in the percentage, you'll put in the percentage here, and the system's then going to automatically calculate that for you to save you some time on doing those numbers on there. We've then got that add line button down at the bottom. So we can add the secondary line, add our second description and things on there. And then, of course, down at the bottom of the invoice, we're going to be adding on our relevant image files as well. So this might be a good time to utilize that PDF functionality now that you can upload onto the app directly, because of course, if you are receiving invoices via email and it's an ePDF, it's nice and easy to just download and then re-upload, rather than having to download it, screenshot it, upload it, or even worse, having to scan it in after you've printed it out and things like that. So that's generally it in terms of using the mobile app to add an invoice and process the transactions. As you can see, there is a lot of functionality that works well that's been pulled over, as well as new features on there. And of course, we are constantly involving the app as well. So keep your eye on things as they change and update. But there's still just a couple of extra features we want to bring to your attention. Maybe not new features for the app, but features that we definitely think that you get the most out of and help you use the app just that bit better. So Leandros is going to go through those with you as well on there.
Thank you, Georgia. We don't have videos for those ones. However, they're quite easy to access. So on the video that Georgia sent showed with the add invoice, if you click on the add transaction button, which is highlighted now with the mouse, and just wait for Georgia to go. There we go.
Sorry, I'm helping us up today.
Thank you. And you will see the ability to add the purchase, and that of course corresponds to any external accounts, and it can be from a cash account to an external card account and to an external bank account as well. So you have the ability to add those on the system straight away. And one of the best improved functions is of course the offline mode that we have now, which means that you can do anything on the app without the need to be connected to the internet. However, the moment the device is connected to an internet space, everything will be synchronized with the desktop. So please allow a few moments. If you, for example, you process all your items on your card, you upload all receipts offline, just give to the device a few moments to catch up and synchronize if you don't see them appearing as unprocessed on the desktop. So just in case there's any confusion on that one. But the offline mode is quite useful, especially if you want to do those while you're in the middle of a charter or you don't have necessarily access to the internet if you are in the middle of the ocean.
Okay, well, that's it for the app and taking a look on there. I've just got something else just to pull up, and then we should be able to take some questions. If you do have any questions, if you want to start popping them in the chat now, that would be a good time to do so. Share my screen at the same time. Let me multitasking. There we go. So is there any questions at all?
I do have the thing open, Georgia, so if anything comes up, I will let you know.
Perfect.
There is one question, if we can have this document. I believe we are able to send them via an email to all attendees. Is that correct, Georgia?
Yeah. So this has been recorded. So what we'll do is our marketing department will work very hard on getting this out as quickly as possible. And I believe everyone that's in the meeting today will have a link sent to them, but it will just be available and we'll probably be sharing it across our social media platforms as well. Oh. Sorry, I think my screen isn't actually sharing currently, so I'll stop sharing it for now. But yeah, that's it for in terms of the app there. We've just got another question. Let me just have a quick read through that. Purchase already made and approved. Okay, so if a purchase has already been made and approved, and it's already been added through the mobile app, the way to do that would be to do it through the desktop. So at the moment we are working on improving the edit functionality on the app, but currently it would be a case of just logging onto the desktop, and should see a little button just on the right hand side of the transaction that says add invoice. But if you need any help with that at all, feel free to get in touch with your client relationship manager or jump on the Voly chat as well, where we'll be able to help you out with that and walk you through that step by step. Is there another chat on there? Just bear with me. Are there any videos to use for new users? Yes. So of course, like we've got this recording that's going to be available. But also let me just share my screen again, and hopefully it'll work this time. Technology, you can't trust it. Let's have a look on there. There we go. So let's come on this one. So if you come onto the desktop, you've then got the ability down at the bottom of the screen here to click on Voly user guide. Now, everyone, regardless of access, will have the ability to view this. When you click onto the Voly user guide, it comes to a nice little landing area where you can select whether you want to go to the desktop user guide or the mobile app user guide. So we've really thought of everything here. We've got a full comprehensive user guide to using the mobile app, which of course you can have a browse through, but also there are some recorded videos, little snippets on how to do things. So if we come down here, let's, for example, invoices, we've been through that one. We can see, we click through it, it tells us exactly how invoices work, and then also the ability to see how to add them. And then anytime you see this icon here, click here for a video walkthrough of this. That's then going to take you to our dedicated Vimeo page where you'll see all the mobile app videos together. Or of course, if you want to go through the page at the same time, you can click into it each and every time on there. So yeah, lots of help and support available with the mobile app beyond, of course, us in the office who are always happy to lend a hand as well where needed on that one.
I have another one, yeah, that popped up, and that has to do with approvals coming onto for purchases on the app. At the moment, that's not available. However, it is being worked on, and it will be available in the next software update for the app. At the moment, please, any approvals that require any purchases that require approval for a card purchase needs to be done via the Voly desktop user.
Yep, sorry, I've just like confirmation there. So the webinar will be uploaded to YouTube. So we'll make sure those links get out as well on there. Anyone that wants to rewatch it. Is there any final questions at all? Nope. Well, one thing I will just mention, it's not been asked just yet. Our APA app is coming very soon. So at the moment, you can log on to the APA platform using the operational app, but keep an eye out. We'll probably send out an email and again on our social media channels to let you know when we've got our APA app launched, which means then you can have the two versions of the app and when you're running charters as well as operational to save you having to keep logging in and out. And I suspect there might be a last minute question just come in there. Can we have this document, please? Oh, there we go. When is next webinar? I'm glad you asked. So the next page is, of course, our next webinar on there. So there we go. we've got just there. Our next webinar is going to be on Wednesday, the 26th of June. So in 2 weeks' time, when we've got our lovely Amandine and Stuart here at Voly going through how to utilize fleet-wide beneficiaries and how that can improve yacht management and payment process. So I know the person that's just asked that is a yacht manager. So that might be a good one for you to join as well to learn about that new feature we've got going on and fleet-wide beneficiaries on there. Okay, no problem at all. Thank you everybody for joining today. If you do have any questions on the back of this, feel free to reach out to one of the team, whether that be your own client relationship manager, whether it be us at the training team. If you're familiar with us, you'll have probably had a few emails with us, or of course, anyone with that at voly.co.uk email. I'm always happy to help. What you can see just down there, how to contact us. All right, thank you everyone. Bye.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.